Dr. Pizzo, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Dr. Genovese, Dr. Robinson, and certainly Barbara. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think we do have a couple of minutes for questions, and Marie Chetta, our Chief Scientific Officer, has a question.
Barbara, first, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. You, in your talks, emphasized regenerative therapies using mesenchymal stem cells, which really we think of with in the tissue engineering context as scaffold signals and cells together. But it's important to note that mesenchymal stem cells have a special characteristic of being anti-inflammatory, and their use in that regard may also be incredibly important in this and many other diseases where inflammation plays a big role. So for the sake of completeness. And the other thing that was interesting about your talks is that we're seeing over and over again in diseases that we thought were not primarily inflammatory but were really more degenerative, that complement is playing an enormous role. So what you're seeing in the joints is exactly what we're seeing in Bruch's membrane of patients with severe macular degeneration, all this deposited complement. So I was wondering if you had seen any literature about the anti-inflammatory effects of mesenchymal stem cells on complement, since so far it seems to be an anti-T cell effect.
And if you'll please use the microphone.
Sure. So I think clearly all cells have certain complement inhibitors that they express, especially in their membranes. And I agree that there's been observations that mesenchymal stem cells can suppress certain inflammatory responses and T-cell responses. And I think it would be very exciting if the regenerative therapy and stem cell approach itself could help treat the underlying dysregulation of the inflammatory system that might have caused the process in macular degeneration or Alzheimer's, or in the case of our work in osteoarthritis. So I think that would be, very powerful if it also solved that underlying problem. And perhaps just by replacing cells with more normal cells that weren't a part of that pathogenic process, maybe you will get that anti-inflammatory property, just like I showed in healthy synovium expresses all these complement inhibitors that are effectively putting the brakes on the process.
Thank you. And Dr. Aziz, did you have a question?
I did have a question.
Hey, if you'd use the microphone, please. And
Barbara, thank you for coming, and thank you, doctors. I did have a question for Barbara, though. Yes. Over the, as you've worked through this illness, and it's your full-time or part-time job, really, tell me about tell us some of the perspective nationally. What has happened to raise the awareness of the patients? And the arthritis patients, how are they feeling about the future of therapy, including stem cell therapy?
Well,
if you don't mind. Right. Thank you.
I honestly don't know about that, because I feel, with me, I just educate myself. But if I know somebody that has it, I do try to show them what I do and what I've gone through all my life. And that's part of my education, because I have had to learn trial and error all the time, what medicines work, what does not work for me, what I need to do, get my rest. I have to eat right. I have to be my own doctor sometimes and know my body. And that's what I would share with somebody. Be in tune with what's going on inside. And that's about what I could share with everybody. And everybody should do that, no matter if you don't have a disease or not, to try to learn what you feel and what's going on. Because I get fatigued, and if I get fatigued, I just have to sit down, relax, take it easy, take a 20-minute break. And that's very important for this disease. So I don't know what else you would like me to share with you. That's fine? Okay, thank you.
I'd like to thank all of our speakers, Dr. Pizzo, for the work being done at Stanford and around this state and the country in this critical disease affecting a very large share of our population. We have, as I stated in opening, website that we're fully developing. We hope these videos make it onto the website in the near future. That website for the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine will feature this video on arthritis as well as on other areas of chronic disease each morning before we start our board meeting. But we have a spotlight on one of the critical diseases facing patients in this country to educate broadly and to mobilize patients like Barbara as advocates for research funding and for the tremendous battle over scarce resources as we go through this calamity of an economy we have. These advocates are going to be extremely important to making sure that biomedical research is maintained, the momentum is maintained, because regenerative medicine has great promise. We hope that it is a pathway to light and in the area of arthritis. Thank you, and we are convening the board meeting this morning. Thank you.